Are having conversations with the Speaker of the House about a case. Please make it make sense. This is stressing me out. How is this okay? And when are the Democrats just going to march up to the Supreme Court and knock on the door and say, we are going to have this discussion right now?
Well, I'll tell you, standing on virtue or being, on Mount Olympus the day after the election when we lose everything and saying, but we upheld the independence of the court, that's not going to save us. And if Speaker Johnson has some sort of back channel to the court, we should find out about that. We should do everything we can to make sure they are independent. And by the way, the hypocrisy of these guys, right? Like, we back the blue. Well, then the blue go and issue a search warrant on their guy, and all of a sudden they want to defund the police, right? They say they're all for states' rights, and then, they get a court that overturns Roe v. Wade, and now they want a federal abortion ban. And then they say that courts should be independent and respected. But by the way, if we need to, we can back channel to them. It's not about the Constitution. It's just about serving Trump.
But I want to...
activities. And of course, the Attorney General in Manhattan has nothing to do with the Department of Justice. Finally, what do you expect from the sentencing process?
I vehemently disagree that the district attorney in New York was not politically motivated here, and I vehemently disagree that President Biden and his political allies aren't up to their necks in this prosecution. I think the fact
there's
that
no
the Biden
evidence of that, sir. There's no. I'm not going to let you continue to say that. There's just zero evidence of that.
Well, how about the fact that Matthew Colangelo was standing over Alvin Bragg's shoulder when he announced this verdict? I mean, Colangelo was the #3 official in the Biden Department of Justice who suddenly disappears and shows up as an assistant district attorney right as Trump's case in New York starts to proceed.
After
you want
the
to talk about
decision was
political
made,
you want to talk about political coordination?
This has nothing to do. This has nothing to do. No, it's not. This has nothing to do with President Biden. Do you want to answer the question about the sentencing process or not?
I completely disagree that this has nothing to do with President Biden. With respect to sentencing, as I said before, we're going to vigorously challenge this case on appeal. I don't think President Trump is going to end up being subject to any sentence whatsoever, and we look forward to getting this case into the next court and taking this again all the way up to the U.S. Supreme Court if necessary to vindicate President Trump's rights.
Thanks for your time this morning.
Appreciate it.
In the House, where you can force some of the votes, even in the minority, on resolutions of censuring, well, Mr. Speaker, why don't we start talking about you talking about the court? And we have the Attorney General on Tuesday coming in, and you can, I promise you, they will focus entirely on this case. We should be on offense. Always point out that Jim Jordan is 700 plus days in defiance of his own subpoena, but also, just as you said, push back about this Bragg nonsense, and then make sure that voters understand in the next 5 months, this is a question of the character of Joe Biden or the corruption of Donald Trump, and frame it that way.
I think that's an important framing, and then when you broaden the lens out on other things that are going to be important conversation pieces in this upcoming fight for control of the House, maintaining the Senate, and holding the White House. Narratively, what else? We were talking with Quentin Folks and others this morning about the political side of this, being on the ground. Jamal Bowman, Congressman, whom you know very well, was on yesterday talking about the ground game, being on the streets. You've always struck me as a guy who understands what it means to be on the streets and talking to voters. How does that play out across the country, particularly in those battleground states, with black and brown voters, women voters, et cetera?
I think on the street, in a deli, at church, it has to be, who are they fighting for? They spend every day working as a law firm, fighting for one person, Donald Trump. And who should they be fighting for? For you, for what you pay at the supermarket, for what you pay in your health care, for what you pay for your child care. That's who we're going to focus on. They're focused on Trump. We're focused on you. And I think that's going to cut through. And they've just shown that.
It's been very well documented that the former guy, the man behind 34 felonies, Don Shitsy Pants, doesn't like dogs, doesn't like pets. Well, that's kind of understandable because he has enough poodles to fluff their backside, or is it they fluff his backside? Byron Daniels and Marco Rubio don't really understand it, particularly in Rubio's case, where at one stage he had one testicle and stood up to former guy. Now he's like literally on all fours. And as for Byron Donalds, he's like, it's embarrassing. Run into a cable news station, or basically Newsmax and Fox, just to sniff the anal passage of former guy. No other description for that. Somebody who really is making sure that my late mum used to say, revenge is a cold dish of custard. Google that one. Michael Revenge, we should actually call him actually. Michael Revenge is finally, well, I think it's deserved. Bearing in mind, this was the fall guy. This was the guy who actually had to go to prison for Trump. Did. And if he went to prison for a crime which is less than the 34 felons that Trump did, straight question, should Trump be locked up? Would you lock Trump up? If you think, yes, Trump should be locked up, press the like button now. Again, would you incarcerate Don Shitsy Pants?
Not by talking about Donald Trump, by talking about Michael Cohen. I want to take you back to 2019 and something that the late Representative Elijah Cummings said to you in a House Oversight Committee hearing. Take a listen.
I know that this has been hard. I know that you face a lot. I know that you are worried about your family. But this is a part of your destiny. And hopefully, this portion of your destiny will lead to a better Michael Cohen, a better Donald Trump, a better United States of America, and a better world.
Do you feel you're a better Michael Cohen?
I'm a different Michael Cohen than I was. I'll tell you, those words hit me the same way now as it did back then. He's a special man. I'll tell you, a lot of people don't know this, but that night, he called me after, not to talk about the hearing, just to ask me if I was okay. And I said to him, one day I will be. I don't know how long it's going to take, but one day I will be. I'm not there yet. I'm far from okay. But hopefully his words come to fruition one day.
Well, you say you want peace, and you say you'll never get peace so long as Donald Trump is here.
Yeah, I don't believe I ever will.
Inside Donald Trump's prison cell, the surroundings are like any other small, enclosed space. The walls are gray concrete, and a narrow cot with a thin mattress is the only piece of furniture. A tiny metal sink and toilet combo sit in one corner, while a small barred window allows a sliver of natural light to filter in. The sound of clanking bars echoes through the air as guards patrol the hallway outside.
What is... President Trump is 76 years old. He will die in federal prison.
Trump spends his days pacing the limited floor space. The once powerful man now finds himself in a place of confinement.